Hello ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you are one of those strange sort of people who subscribe to this channel but doesn't actually know me in person, I can't think why you do that because I'm not there to threaten you. But if you are one of those people, then this video won't make a great deal of sense because this is a video you can tell because I've got my robes on. This is about the York College Debating Society, of which I am the Honourable Secretary. So there was recently part of my Secretary's report. I said, would people like instructional videos on how to be a part of the debating society? And they seem to be in favour of that pretty unanimously. So here I am making same educational videos. But possibly, even if you're not a member of the debating society, you might find this interesting because it might inspire you to create your own debating society, and perhaps you'll even base the rules on this, which would honour me greatly, even though I didn't necessarily come up with them. I tried to base these on sort of the long-standing debating traditions of this country. I bought a book, actually. It is just Chairman's Guide and Secretary's Companion. So this is my companion, given that I am the Secretary. And that is an example sort of long-standing debating traditions. It's based on the Houses of Parliament, and I've tried to base a lot of my stuff on the Houses of Parliament. They're not always applicable, but anyway, there's enough preamble. However, it would seem that this is a copy of the bylaws of the organisation, right? There's the logo in grayscale. It's pretty cool. It would seem that most people, for a sort of fun society, don't want to read through all of my dense legalese, as you will, if you will. So videos it is. So now a whole 2 minutes into the video, we can actually get started in what this is, which is the instructional video and guide for members of the York College Debating Society. So that's just a plain member. You've not got an office. You're not a secretary. You're not an undersecretary. You're not chairman. Chairman is elected every time, but we'll get to that. This is a guide on how to be a member. So I have drawn up a list of various things I'd like to explain to you, and hopefully it will be not too long a video, not too turgid. I'll try and explain it as pellucidly or clearly as I can, and hopefully then we'll see an improvement in the behaviour, which isn't necessarily bad at the minute, but it is obviously lacking in some understanding. So I'm going to try and be as educational here as I can. So the first thing is to turn up to meetings, as many as you can. I'll probably write them here. First thing, turn up to meetings. These take place every Friday, unless college isn't on, at 12:45. They end at 1:45, and they are in 2F111, which is Claire's room. Normally used for law. Normally we can't actually get in there at 12:45 because there's still some hangovers from the lesson, but be there if you can. Now, the second point is that voting is mandatory now. This is after a motion raised by the Honourable R.M. Higgins. By the way, Honourable is just a little thing that we have. So if you're a member, then you are the Honourable. And if you're new to it, then for your first session, you're not the Honourable, but then later, if you come to a second one, you're now a member, so you're the Honourable. And I'm the Honourable Secretary. So we're all honourable. I think that's rather a nice touch. Yes, so the Honourable R.M. Higgins made a motion that voting should be mandatory because a lot of people weren't voting on certain proposals, which meant that small minorities were carrying decisions, which wasn't very good. So now voting is mandatory. So yes, you must vote on proposals. Now, proposals come in the forms of motions. Now, a motion is basically just saying that the society should do something. So I move that the society should have a debate on this question. Therefore, I'm asking, can the society do this? And because it's a democratic society, it's fundamentally democratic, we vote on this. And the voting works on a plurality basis. So whoever has plurality, i.e. the most votes, wins. And then, so if a plurality supports the motion will pass, it will carry, and the essence of the motion will be put into action. So if I move, can we have a debate on such and such a thing, and a plurality, that is the most people, vote aye to that proposal, aye means yes, I'm in favour, then that motion will carry and we'll have a debate. Yes, now if you don't understand, because I think this is probably why people weren't voting before, if you don't understand, the thing to do is not to just sort of shout out, oh, well, hang on, what, I don't understand. Can you say that again? The thing to do is to stand up, because we always stand when we speak. Makes it much, more civilised. Stand, and if the chairman, I'll get on to chairman in a minute. If the chairman calls you or invites you to speak, he says, I call the Honourable, or Mr. or Mrs. or whatever. So say you're John Smith, because that's the name. I call the Honourable Mr. Smith because you've stood up. So then everybody else who wants to speak will sit down, and you will be the only one stood up. And then you will say, I wish to ask about the motion before us. Is such and such a thing the case, or is it meaning this? At which point you will sit down, and the chairman will then call whoever made the motion, presumably, or whomever else wants to explain it, to answer your questions. So this is how you do it. Don't just vote blindly. You can ask questions about motions, but there is a correct way to do it. So that is the correct way. Stand up, be called to speak, speak. Once you've finished, sit down. Yes, so that's my third point as well. Stand when you want to speak. Now, yeah, and then fourth point is, sort of went over that again, only speak when the chair has called you. So you do get a few people who not only don't stand up to speak, I'm thinking of the Honourable MJ Cadwallander here, but they also don't wait for the chairman to call them. So what you do is you stand up. I'm not going to stand up here because I'd go off the screen. You stand up, the chairman will call you. I call the Honourable John Smith, and you will then start speaking. Now, there is a sort of extra function here called giving way. So if somebody else stands up midway through your speech because they want to be called next, you can do that, by the way. You can stand up while someone else is speaking, as long as you don't start speaking, because that way the chairman will know that you want to speak next in response. If you're speaking, you can actually say, I'd like to give way to my honourable friend, Mr. Jones, for example, at which point you will sit down. Mr. Jones will stand up and will presumably keep it very brief because he's interrupting you and he just wants to ask you an urgent question. Does Mr. Smith mean that such and such a thing will happen? And then he'll sit down and you can stand back up again without being called because you've given way. So that is one way of doing it. So say I was Mr. Smith and I've been called, I'm talking about my motion. Mr. Jones, stand up. I can say, I give way to the Honourable Mr. Jones. I sit down. Mr. Jones stands up. Mr. Smith, do you really... does Mr. Smith... This is... I'll get to that later. Does Mr. Smith believe that such and such a thing should really happen? Then Mr. Jones sits down and I, Mr. Smith, stand back up and say, no. The Honourable Mr. Jones is completely mistaken. My proposal does not, in fact, entail any of that. So you can give way. But this should only be used sparingly and for little comments, not for interjecting with a whole speech or even a motion of your own. That's bad form. Yes. And also, when you finish speaking, do sit down. Don't wait for a reply from the person you're sort of talking to, but not really. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't wait for a reply. Wait for the chairman to, select another person to speak. Because at the end of the day, this is my point 6. You are talking to the chairman, not to the other members. Now, this is very tricky because we all talk normally in real life, but the trouble is that can very easily devolve into sort of one-on-one squabbling in an organised chamber, and it has, in my experience. So do try, and obviously I understand, even I make mistakes like I just did then. It's relatively difficult, but try to address the chairman, not the other person. So rather than saying, Mr. Jones, do you agree with me? You would say, Mr. Chairman, I wish to know if Mr. Jones agrees with me. You're speaking to the chairman about Mr. Jones, not speaking to Mr. Jones directly. I feel like I was midway through a point there, but I've forgotten it. Anyway, I'll just move on. It might come back to me. Now, during a debate. I have here an example of an order paper. Now, I print these out as secretary, and that is the essentially everything that's going to happen during the session. Now, the debate happens after all other business pertaining to sort of amendments to the bylaws, etc., is dealt with. So the motion for the debate is there on this one. And after the debate, the chairman will call for a division. Now, the division essentially means that everybody who is an aye, everybody who supports such and such a thing, will sit on one side. Generally, it's the ayes to the right, the noes to the left, and that is the chairman's right and left. But it's obviously variable, and if there's people who generally sit on one side and they're generally in favour of or against something, then it might shift. But it's not important. The ayes to one side, the noes to the right. Sit with whomever you agree with. But this is not final. Don't feel like once you've sat with the ayes, you can't, you're committing yourself to arguing for the ayes for the whole session, because recent committee work by the Honourable Mr. Morris has actually is going to put forward a thing about swing. So swing will influence decisions in debates if that gets voted in, but we anticipate. So if you are on the ayes and you weren't really sure, but you thought you were on the side of the ayes, and then someone from the noes makes an absolutely brilliant, barnstorming speech, you might go, here, absolutely, and you might cross over the floor. And that's completely fine. You can do that. There's nothing stopping you. It's encouraged, actually. It shows that that you're not just being stubborn and inconvincible. However, if you are being stubborn and inconvincible, then you can just sit where you are. And if you're generally just convinced and think the opposition are making appalling arguments, there's no obligation to cross either. So just do what you feel is the correct thing to do and what you believe. At the end of the day, this isn't really that serious. We're not actually solving anything. To be honest, the literal reason this exists is because Rachel wanted something good to put on her personal statement. So that's by the by. But and don't tell any universities that. That would be really, really bad of you if you did that, and I won't. It is in the bylaws, though, so it's not exactly a secret, so I don't feel terrible about saying it. Yes. Now, I should mention something about here. I said here there. Now, here is an ancient tradition. Not an ancient, but ancient in the sense of traditions, but not literally by the definition of ancient. It's very old, essentially, and it comes from back in the day in Parliament. If you wanted somebody to shut up, you would go, I mentioned this in a previous video, you'd hum. And so here originally was hear him, saying shut up, stop humming, listen to this bloke, he's saying something interesting. So we don't clap in debate society, we say hear. There is a bit of pounding on tables, but nothing major, it's mainly hearing. Clapping is the only thing that's technically outlawed. So yes, hear rather than clapping. That's a very important thing. Don't forget that. And another thing, don't call the chairman Mr. Speaker, because I know we base it on Parliament, but as I've said, it is different to Parliament. And in Parliament, the reason that he's called the Speaker is because he used to go and speak to the King. Now, our chairman doesn't do that, and it's not a permanent office. He is just the chairman. So don't call him Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Chair, or Madam Chair, or Madam Chairwoman. As long as there's a chair in there and a honorific, then you're fine. Just respectfully address the chair, not the speaker. Although I do understand it's very easy to get carried away, so don't worry too much about this, but please attempt to say chair or chairman. Now, I did mention the order paper. Please read the order paper, and if possible, take it away with you, because a lot of people leave them afterwards, and I feel like Claire probably doesn't like clearing them up. So take your order paper with you. I don't want them back. They lose their usefulness as soon as the meeting is over, and they're a pretty good souvenirs. I always take mine away. I write the results of votes on the back, though, because I'm the secretary, so I've got an excuse. But yeah, take your order papers away. You can put them in the bin. But yeah, read your order paper during the thing so you know what's happening. And if you see a motion that you want to, raise an amendment to or make a question of, then just make a note of it, and you'll know what to do. So just the order paper is very helpful. I think I wouldn't print it if I didn't think it was helpful. So please make use of it as much as you can. Yes, now during the debate, this is of course the time when you can stand up and make your case. You're still speaking to the chairman, but you are not trying to raise a motion. You're just making a point about your side in the case. So it is at this point during the debate that you will stand up and register your interest to speak. If the chairman calls you, then you will begin speaking. Giving way still applies here, which is especially good if you're having a bit of a back and forth with somebody. But always remember to address the chair, though, and not the person you've given way to, as I think I dealt with earlier. But yeah, so that's where that bit comes in, and then the debate will eventually finish, and we will do voting. So remember always to vote. Now, abstaining is allowed technically, because there are some questions where it behoves you to abstain rather than say aye or no, because those don't represent your wishes. So you are allowed to abstain, but I would hazard against it. Try to vote aye or no. It just makes it a bit more easy. And if you abstain, then that is a vote essentially taken away from one of the other sides. So do try to vote, but obviously abstinence is abstinence are they are there for a reason, because they are sometimes necessary. So use them sparingly, but you can use them. I should mention also sometimes there's crossbenchers. So there's the eyes, the nose, and then the people in the middle who aren't really sure or have a different kind of point of view. So you can sit in the middle sometimes. It just does make it a bit awkward looking back and forth at whoever's debating. But yes, that's a point. And then after we've voted on the proposal and decided who won the debate, that is currently under reform by committee. I'll get into committees later, but don't worry too much about that. Once that has happened, then it's time to select the topic for the next session. So technically, if you look at the order paper, the way that the topic is brought up is somebody will make a motion that we debate such and such a thing, and we all vote on it. However, because democracy sometimes has drawbacks and you need checks and balances, some unpopular topics are actually quite good and we do enjoy them, but if it's an unpopular topic, it'll never get through. And so we have a system whereby people with unpopular topics can get those across, and I think it's very fair, even if it's not technically democratic. So what happens is everybody has the right to say one topic, and those get put in my top hat, because I do dress up for these sessions, not even this more. I wear a frock coat and a top hat, as you'll be able to tell from the recordings of my speeches on this channel. So everybody gets one idea, but you can second an idea that's already been said. So if somebody says AI and you think, oh, I want to debate AI, I second AI. And so then there'll be, say, 5 AIs going to the hat, 6 death penalties, 3 public funds, museums, etc., anything and everything. And then I go around the room and show everybody, do you think those are sufficiently mixed? Yep, they're all sufficiently mixed. Everybody can mix them up a bit. And then the chairman draws a piece of paper, and that is the topic. But then we still have to introduce it formally with a motion and vote on it, because it is fundamentally still a democracy. But we all respect the tradition of drawing it out of the hat. And this is a key point. Please do not whinge about the topic that's been chosen. We get a lot of puerile whinging about the topics that are chosen. It's a fair system, okay? Everybody has a right to put something in the hat. It's just the luck of the draw. Sometimes you don't get what you want, but that is life in a way. So, I would not appreciate, no matter how well procedured they are, I would not appreciate any rebellions against the pre-chosen topic. So please don't do that. When the motion for the debate comes up, it better be unanimous, otherwise I'll be cross. Because we have a system, and the system works. So just get used to it, essentially. That's the way things are done. Yes, now, I forgot to talk about chairman, actually, so I will do that. The first item of business in every session is the election of a chairman. So the way that works is under a system of my own selection, essentially, but it does seem to be working rather well, so I don't feel this is me exercising undue tyranny. I think I just made a reasonably good choice. Everybody who wants to be chairman will... Hang on, apologies, something came up because I do live in a house with other people. Now, yes, so the election of chairman. So everybody who wants to be chairman in a given session will stand up, at which point we will take votes on each of these candidates. So say Mr. Smith has volunteered to be chairman. I as the secretary, who I preside over sessions before the chairman, just because there isn't another office, I say all those in favour of Mr. Smith say aye, at which point we will count how many ayes Mr. Smith got. Now you can vote aye to multiple candidates. So say Mr. Jones also, and you like Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones, and you don't want to ruin your friendship with either of them, then you can also vote aye to Mr. Jones. And we do that for however many candidates there are. There's normally about 3, no more than 3 generally, but it can get pretty mental. And then whoever has the most ayes wins. So that's what happens, and then that person becomes chairman. Now I'm going to do a separate guide for how to be chairman, so don't worry about that too much. But for ordinary members, this will suffice. So just vote in the chairman election for whomever you like. You can vote for all the candidates if you really, really want to. There's no issue there. It's all pretty straightforward. Yes. Now, if you want to change something about the debate society, if you do not like, for example, the way we vote on things, I hate how we vote on things, it's so stupid, it's just idiotic and facetious and dull, and I hate it. Well, the thing to not do is moan about it to me, because yes, I'm the secretary and I've got some robes and I, do all the paperwork, but I don't actually have any power. I've designed the system so that I don't have any power. Power all derives from democracy. So my power to amend the things, that all is subject to the democracy, and I was voted in at the start. So it's it all revolves around the democratic system. So what if you come to me and moan about how the voting happens, one, I'm probably going to disagree with you because I rather like things the way they are, and two, I literally cannot do anything. I can't just alter the bylaws. I'm not God. So what you would have to do is come to me and say, Secretary, I'm not awfully keen on the voting process. Could you schedule me in for a motion so that I can propose an amendment to the bylaws? At which point, brilliant. Of course, I have, that is the power I have. So you'll notice on this order paper, there's a series of names in bold. Not sure if you can see that. Honourable O.G. Colbeck, Honourable R.M. Higgins, etc. That's what will happen. Your name will go there on the order paper, at which point it'll be assured that you'll get your motion in, because the chairman looks at that as well and knows what to do in that order. You can, if you don't want to speak to me for whatever reason, or you didn't have time, you can raise a motion just there and then without scheduling it. There is a bullet point that says any other business, so that is ensured for there. Don't worry if you can't contact me. However, it's, why would you not schedule it in? It's dead easy. Just message me on Teams or speak to me in person or whatever, and I'll stick you on there, and then you'll be assured. Yeah, so if you want to make the society do anything, then contact me. I'll stick your name on the order paper, and you can make a motion. I can even help you with how to word the motion, because obviously it's that I would like us to vote differently. Okay. So I can help you word the motion. I can even stick it on in italics, how you should say this specifically. Mr. Chairman, I wish to move that the voting process in this society be amended, and that a committee be established to look into possible amendments. That would be a way of doing it. That's just an example. So I can help you with the wording, with whatever you want to do. So that is the correct way to do amendments. Yes. Now, committees. I should talk about committees. Committees essentially are a way of keeping... You see, we've got an hour each week for Debate Society, so we like to do as much debating in that time as possible and do as little administration in that time as possible. So committees are essentially a way of keeping administration out of debating time, because the way a committee works is a head of the committee will be elected, right? That head of the committee will then select his committee members, and that's just entirely his discretion. Then they will go away and do something somehow. So they might do it on the team. They might have a hearing. They might, I don't know. I've only been in one committee and we met at the top of the stairs. So the committee will do their thing, right? They'll have some findings. They'll vote on those findings. And then at the next session, the head of the committee will make his report, and the report come right after. So there's my report. That's the first item of business. Then there's the committee's reports, and then there's other, members' motions. So the head of the committee will make his report, and then the findings of that report will be put to a vote. So say you did want to create a committee to amend the voting process, then, well, you could put yourself forwards as head of that committee, and then people could vote on you. And then if you were, you could select your lackeys and whatever and get do some findings, etc. I do think it would be bad form to turn down somebody who wants to be on the committee. That would be bad form, but you can technically do that. I just wouldn't advise it. Anybody who wants to be on the committee should be allowed to, because otherwise you can monopolise it. And also you're just turning yourself away from potentially good ideas. Yes, so you go away with your committee, you do some research into how you might change the voting process, and you draw up some findings. Now, those findings you then present in a report to the society at the next meeting, at which point the society votes on that. If they vote against that, then you have to come next week with a new thing, or just say, I dissolve this committee. So that's how committees work. I can do a more in-depth thing on committees if people would like that, but I don't think they need to be delved into that deeply. And if you get elected to a committee, then just come and speak to me. I can explain it to you in person. Yes, now the final thing I'd like to say, I'm definitely not writing the things on here, by the way, because I didn't go through these correctly. But the final thing I would say is make contributions to the minutes. Now, the minutes are essentially a record of all the meetings we have and who speaks in them and what they said. Not exactly. I should make a point actually about the Methley motion. There's a bloke, the Honourable Mr. Methley, who always makes a motion in favour of making an audio recording of the session, which I rather like, but never gets a unanimity, and he has a special caveat of unanimity on his motion saying we can only do this if everybody agrees, which is pretty fair, and we're never going to get that, so there's a new procedure where essentially as soon as Mr. Methley stands up to make the Methley motion, we all go in the correct parliamentary way, and he sits back down. Saves us a bit of time. So that's what you do for that. Yes, so the minutes are essentially just a document of the votes, who turned up, what side they were on, what speeches were made. These are going to get better now because Mr. Methley is now my under-secretary, so he can take the minutes for me, because I'm generally involved with not only my other secretarial work, but also I'm interested in the debates and I want to speak and have my say and do some debating. So the minutes will improve, but you can help make them even better. You can access the minutes. They're a matter of public record. I won't give you the links here because the links are on Teams and I want you to check Teams. That's another thing. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, you can view the minutes, and if you think that you would like a speech you made to be included verbatim in there, or you think that they've been taken inaccurately, or you want to make it clear which side you voted for, etc., contact me or the Undersecretary, Mr. Methley. We can sort you out. We can amend the minutes, and that will make the records more adequate, and that'll be a good thing. So that's one thing I definitely recommend. Do the minutes. Now, the final thing is check Teams, because Teams, Microsoft Teams, that is where all of our you know, because we can't all meet. There's about 30 of us. We can't all meet up on a lunchtime. So anything that happens outside of an official Debating Society session will be posted on Teams. So that's also what the question is for the next session. Any committee work is organised via Teams, etc. So please be checking Teams. And this is why I'm not going to put the links in the description of this video, because I want you to go on Teams, and it's in a pinned message on Teams. You can get to the links that way, so please do that. And if you're there, want to have a look at the bylaws and stuff, please, you know, feel free, do that. That'll be great. But I made this video so you didn't have to, so don't feel obliged. That, I believe, is everything I wanted to speak to you about. If there's anything I missed, then feel free to drop that in the comments. I can explain it to you, or just contact me on Teams, or contact me in the real world, in face-to-face, you know. Anything like that. So thank you very much for watching, and happy debating when I see you next. Thank you very much.